Good afternoon and welcome to this APM webinar sponsored by Microsoft. Your presenter today will be Baz Khinda, who is a Microsoft PPM consultant and director at Wellingtone Project Management. Before I hand you over to Baz, I'll go through a couple of housekeeping points. It's very unlikely it will happen, but if there is a fire alarm at the APM offices, we will leave the webinar running and we'll leave the building. But if you can't hear us at any point, please send us a message through the GoToWebinar service and we will respond as quickly as possible. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel shortly. We like to make our webinars interactive, so if you look out for the poll questions throughout the webinar. Also, if you would like to ask Baz any questions yourself, please send them through the chat feature and we will endeavour to answer them at the end. So without further ado, over to Baz.
Excellent, thank you very much, Tim, and again, good afternoon everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join this event. So my name is Baz Khinda and I'll be leading much of today's session, but I am also joined by my colleague from Microsoft, Andree Silva, who is the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Project and Visio in the UK. So this is the first of a two-part series looking at Microsoft Project Online, which is available within Microsoft Office 365. And today's focus will be on driving project management maturity with an emphasis on how you can improve consistency, increase visibility, and facilitate collaboration, all of which are recognized as being project management pains. The second webinar will be taking place on June the 1st and will cover resource management and reporting, although there will be some coverage on those areas today as well. So as Tim said earlier, this session is going to be pretty interactive. We have two polls coming up, and will allow for around 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A time at the end, within which both Andree and myself will be participating. Now, due to the time constraints, the overview today will probably provide a high-level overview of the solution rather than a deep dive, but we can offer follow-on sessions as required, as well as a 30 or 90-day trial environment, and details on those items will be coming up at the end. But moving on to the agenda for today. So I'll start off by introducing Wellington. I'll talk a bit about what we do as an organization. I'll talk a bit about Microsoft PPM and show you how it's evolved over the years. And we'll also provide some coverage today on the Forrester Total Economic Impact Report, which was published quite recently actually, and it focused on the return on investment offered by Microsoft Office 365 PPM. And one of the meatiest parts today will be the live demonstration itself, where I'll give you a walk through a lot of the functionality that will show you how you can improve collaboration, increase visibility, and obviously improve consistency as well. And towards the end, I will give you some options around trials and also implementation, and of course we have the Q&A session right at the very end. So Wellington, we as an organization have been around for quite a while. And we are very much focused on delivering project management services, spanning around consulting, training, and recruitment. And on the consulting side, not only do we help organizations to instill project management methodology, we also help them set up PMOs, and we then either deploy Microsoft SharePoint or one of the Microsoft PPM solutions, primarily Project Online. And we do also offer a wide variety of training courses, which are all corporate customized training courses. And we offer a wide variety of recruitment services as well. So if you're looking to place interim contract or permanent project management professional, we can certainly help. So our clients on the Microsoft PPM side are really quite varied. So all of the organizations you see on the screen right now, they're all very diverse. They come from a wide variety of sectors. But the only thing that they all have in common is that they're all using Microsoft PPM to manage their projects. In terms of scalability, Microsoft PPM is incredibly scalable. So Project Online, the smallest implementation we've ever actually completed was for 5 users, going up to thousands of users. So incredibly scalable, not only in terms of user base, but also in terms of functionality as well, which is something that I'll come on to a bit later. And before I forget, we do have a number of case studies on our website. So if you are looking to speak to organizations that are using Microsoft Project Online, we can certainly provide some introductions, and we've also got case studies as well. So that brings us on to our very first poll. And what we would like to understand is what level of PM maturity is typical across your department. So I believe Tim is now running this poll. So let's see what the responses are.
Right, that poll's just running. Going to wait until all the answers have come through, and then I will be able to read out the results.
Thank you.
Right, so we'll close that poll down now. I'm showing those results now. As we can see, level 1, 9% have answered to that. 32% have said level 2. 43% have said level 3. 16% have said level 4. And interestingly, no one uses level 5.
Okay, fantastic. Not surprised about level 5. Most organizations we typically engage with to deploy Project Online right at the very beginning, they tend to be between level 1 and 2. And one of the main drivers for implementing Project Online is to drive that project management maturity. So no, interesting results. I'll share my screen again now, and we'll continue with this presentation. So we do have another poll coming up pretty soon, but for now, I'd like to focus everyone's attention on the Forrester report that we referred to right at the very beginning. So it was actually quite recently that Microsoft commissioned Forrester to do an evaluation of the return on investment that can be offered by Project Online. So Forrester went and spoke to a range of clients that were using the solution, and one of the headline figures was a 301% return on investment. So to delve down into some of the details, what were the top priorities for organizations introducing a PPM solution? For most of them, it was a case of improving operational efficiency in managing projects. Many of them wanted to improve visibility of project as well, project performance in particular. Many of them wanted to improve their approach to resource management, and the other elements are pretty clear as well. And why did organizations select Microsoft Project Online? So for many of them, it came down to the fact that it was a solution that could help them increase the visibility into project performance through better reporting. A large number of organizations deployed it because they wanted to leverage synergies with Office 365. For those of you that aren't really aware of this, Microsoft Office 365 is where Project Online resides. So if you're using Office 365 and you're looking for a PPM solution, then Project Online is a natural fit. For many of these organizations, it was also the ease of scalability with business growth, as well as ticking off many of the boxes that we would expect, such as improving resource management capabilities, improving usability, increasing the speed of implementation, because Project Online, it's based in the cloud. It's typically a lot quicker to get set up. So at the end of today's presentation, we will be providing a download link for this entire report. But continuing, so what Forrester did was they asked all of the survey respondents, what other benefits or cost savings did you experience with Microsoft Project Online? And there were quite a few. The ones we're focusing on today are speed and consistency, collaboration, and visibility. And again, the full report is something that we have got a download link for you to access. And it's quite a detailed report, and I think it's interesting reading. However, that's not going to stop me from sharing some more facts and figures. So improved resource management led to just over $3 million worth of savings over 3 years. A substantial saving by migrating to a cloud-based software as a service PPM solution allowed organizations to save quite a substantial sum. Improved visibility into project performance, reduced project budget overruns by 5%, and increased project management performance and project throughput generated just under $2 million worth of savings over a 3-year period. So some facts for you there, and again, the full report sheds a lot more light into this entire topic. So that brings us very quickly onto our second poll. So before I go into the live demonstration shortly, I'd like to understand, what is your biggest project management pain? Is it the fact that you have inconsistent approaches? Is it resource management? Is it collaboration? Or a lack of visibility? Or is it strategic alignment? So Tim, if you wouldn't mind opening that poll, please, and we'll see what the results say.
So that poll's now available to answer. I'll let the results come in and then I'll read them out. Right, I think we're ready to close that poll, and I shall now reveal the answers. So as you can see on your screen there, 31% have said consistent approach is their biggest project management pain. 26% has said resource management, 14%, that's 1-4, has said collaboration, 19%, 19, have said lack of visibility, and 10% have said strategic alignment. I'll leave that up for the next couple of moments.
Fantastic. Well, the findings that you've just proven there really are very much consistent with what we typically find. So consistent approach or inconsistent approach really is typically the biggest pain that we come across. So even if an organization has defined a set methodology and approach for running projects, what we tend to find is that unless it's supported by a PPM solution like Project Online, project managers, not through any fault of their own really, but they go off and manage projects however they want to. Resource management is always a very big pain, and we've come across many organizations using what I would call very beautiful looking but complex spreadsheets to track their resources. A lot of manual effort goes into it. Collaboration, 14%, that's absolutely fine, and we're going to be showing you how you can improve that later on today. But lack of visibility through standardized reporting, again, that is a pretty common pain, as is the pain to actually generate these reports, which can take quite a bit of manual effort. So reporting and resource management, they're not part of today's demonstration, although I will give you some oversight into what that functionality looks like today. But if you are interested in those areas, then please do join the webinar on the 1st of June, because we are going to take a bit of a deep dive in those days. For today, we're focusing on consistent approach, collaboration, and increasing visibility. Okay, I think we're ready to continue with the webinar. So let me provide a very quick overview of the PPM solution just before I delve into the demonstration. So many of you are probably users of or familiar with Microsoft Project, the desktop scheduling tool, and I'm not surprised because it's been around for quite a while. It was launched back in 1987. But that solution was really a standalone solution that each project manager would have on their desktop, so they could obviously build up their plan, but there was very little in the way of collaboration. You couldn't really share that information with anybody else other than passing around the project schedule. So it was back in 2000 that Microsoft launched the very first iteration of Project Server, and over the years we've had quite a few releases, and Project Online, which is really the focus of today, is where they took that Project Server solution and put it into the cloud offering of Office 365 and made it a software as a service offering. So Project Online is a very mature solution in that respect, and it's constantly evolving, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. But again, 29 years of evolution, so a lot of maturity there. As a solution, it offers a lot of functionality. So whether you're looking for it to help you with your top-down portfolio management aspects, whether you're looking for it to help you improve your bottom-up project management, day-to-day project management activities, the solution can help on both fronts. And I don't want you to look at all this functionality and think that you have to deploy all of these features on day one. Most organizations would identify their biggest pain points and phase in an implementation of Project Online to tick off the biggest pains really quickly to get some quick wins before building their maturity and running out additional features as and when they're ready to do so. The components that really make up Microsoft PPM consist of Project Pro for Office 365, and that is really the desktop client, and that's the tool that most full-time project managers would continue to use, even if you are using Project Online. And it's the tool where you can do really advanced scheduling. So some of the things that you can do in there are viewing your critical path, creating start-to-start links between your tasks, finish-to-finish links, amongst other elements. But once Project Online is in place, the interface that you would most often interact with is Project Web App, shortened down to PWA. And this is an interface that can be tailored towards different user types quite easily. So if you go in as a senior executive, the look would be tailored really to the items that you would expect to see. If you log in as a project manager, you can still go in, view your projects, you can still edit your projects all within the browser. If you log in as a team member, somebody that's being assigned work, you can go in and you get visibility of all of your tasks in one single view. So these are the major components of Microsoft PPM. There are other support technologies around this, which I will go into a bit later. Numerous benefits offered by Microsoft PPM, and in particular Project Online. all of which are appearing on the screen right now. I'm not going to talk through this in detail because a lot of these benefits will become evident as and when I go through the demonstration, which I'm very keen to get onto. And just before I do that, I would like to take just a bit of time and talk you through what is a typical life cycle process when you are using Project Online. Just before I go into it, I do want to make the point as well that Project Online can be tailored to suit any environment. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of functionality that's available, a lot of features. You don't have to use all of them. And one of the things that you can do with Project Online is deploy different templates to help you gain a consistent approach to managing projects. And these templates are all bespoke. But if you imagine we've got a create phase at the beginning of a project, that's where you would create the project request using one of these enterprise project types. And what these templates would do is initiate a workflow to guide the person through the stage gate process for the particular project they've selected. It would also present the end user with a series of what we call project detail pages. These are electronic forms that can be presented at various stages of the life cycle, and you might often use these electronic forms to enable people to complete end of stage checklists to ensure that they've done everything that they should have done. We also provide the end user with a schedule template for that type of project, and we also provision what's called a project site. A project site we'll be having a look at a bit later, but that is really one of the major collaboration hubs within Project Online. If you are looking to use the system to help you prioritize your project portfolios as well, then you would be expected to go through and build up your project business case. You would be asked to align your project against strategic drivers, put in high-level costs and draft resource assignments against your schedule, and then we move on to the selection phase. And it's in the selection phase that typically the board or the PMO would come together, have a look at all the projects that have been proposed, and they would then determine which projects have the best strategic alignment, which projects make the best use of the funds available and the resources that you have available as well. And based upon all of this analysis, they would then either approve certain projects or reject certain projects. And the system will help you to do that, and I'll be demonstrating that as part of my demonstration shortly. So the projects that are then progressed to the next phase have a project manager appointed, and when it comes to doing the detailed planning of our project to finalize it, all the PM needs to do is really finalize the schedule, make resource allocations finalized as well, and they would then baseline the project and then publish the project to Project Online. And it's effectively when you publish the project to Project Online that it effectively goes live. And it's at that point that team members that have been assigned work are notified of their assigned work. When it comes to managing the project on a day-to-day basis, project managers, they can benefit from the fact that all the information is presented to them centrally. And the project sites are often used to maintain the RAID log, so risks and issues, actions, decisions, and it's really, again, an area where you can promote collaboration. Line managers or team leads can go into the resource center and review things like resource demand versus capacity. And you've also got senior management that can go in and access a wide range of out-of-the-box dashboards and reports. And that's really the typical life cycle of a project in the system. But again, you don't have to use all of the functionality, and typically organizations might not include the selection part of Project Online, and they might include that at a later date. Okay. So the demonstration that I'm going to do today is really going to show you at a very high level how you can achieve consistency, how you can improve visibility, and how you can facilitate collaboration. So as part of that, I'll be going through a lot of features that are available within the system, one of the primary features being enterprise project types. I will briefly cover project selection, and we will be focusing on project sites. Now, there is some overlap. So there are features available. So, for example, task views. Yes, it helps increase the visibility of tasks that have been assigned to an individual, but it's also an area that really helps aid and improve collaboration, because through that task view, the team member, the resource, can actually converse with the project manager and talk about that task. So that's the demonstration that I'll be running through now. So without any further delay, let me just jump over to my demonstration environment. So you should all now be able to see the home page to Project Web App. So this is the standard look and feel out of the box, but it can be tailored to a very large extent. And we have deployed this for a wide range of organizations, including large charities and very well-known organizations. And the look and feel, it's very easy to apply different themes and to brand this to match your brand, basically. On the home page, when you're brand new to Project Online, there's a series of tiles there that get you started with PWA. So if you want to be guided through the process of creating a brand new project, if you want to look at various tutorials and read about some of the functionality that's available within Project Online, there's guides within the environment as well. But the tiles I really want to focus on are these ones down here that enable you to track your work. So you can go to the Project Center where you will get visibility of all of your project portfolio. You've also got access there to the approvals. So project managers, if you imagine they've assigned work to team members, those team members provide updates back to the PM. They are visible within the approval center, as well as StageGate workflow approvals. And tasks, I'm shown here that I've got 9 new tasks assigned to me, and you also get visibility around issues and risks that you might be monitoring, as well as status reports and so forth. On the left-hand side, what we have here is a quick launch menu, which is a static menu that helps you navigate around the site no matter where you are. So the very first thing I want to do is actually show you how you would create a brand new project using one of those enterprise project types. So clicking onto that particular tile there, what I'm actually presented with is a list of the enterprise project types that are available to me. So just to make this clear, you don't actually get any of these templates out of the box. These are bespoke templates, so we as a partner, Wellington as a partner, would help you to build up. And whatever your life cycle looks like, whatever information you want to collect at various stages, that's absolutely fine because it's really flexible. We can tailor these templates to suit any environment. And these templates really help ensure a consistent approach to project creation. And if I was to select software development as the project type that I want to start, tick that box, click Next, I'm now presented with a project detail page. So this enables us to collect information in a consistent manner, and it also makes visible at the same time to the end user what is actually required. So certain fields can be mandatory. So name, for example, there's a red asterisk there, so I can fill in the name, description, start date, and to standardize some of the data entry as well, we can have drop-down tables like I have there. So for now, I'm not actually going to create this project, I'm just going to cancel out, but that's how you would create a brand new project, quite straightforward. Once the projects have been created, you can then view all of the project pipeline within the project center. So this is also an area where you can really increase visibility of what the pipeline of incoming work or project requests looks like. For now, I'm looking at one of the standard views. This is simply showing me a list of all the projects, and from a visual perspective, I can see straight away which projects have got issues and risks associated. So if I look at this project here, I can see that there's a schedule associated, there are issues on this project, there are risks on this project, but there is also some associated documentation. I've also got here various KPIs that I'm seeing against things like project health, return on investment, risk rating, and again the views you're seeing right now, some are out of the box, but these are largely bespoke. Along the top I can also see a timeline view showing me some of the key initiatives that are currently underway. So again, this really increases project visibility. And this is not the only view you have. So at the moment I'm looking at a global view, which is the project view, but again you can have cost-specific views. You can also, so if thinking of specific examples from clients we've worked with, some organizations will have departmental views, some will slice and dice projects by location, by client, by program. You can create as many views as you'd like. As long as you're collecting the data by which you want to slice and dice, but it's not a problem, we can create many, many different views. So aside from the global views, you can also go and group however you want as well. So if I want to group and view all projects grouped by owner, that's absolutely fine, you can do that. But you might also want to group projects by where they are sitting in their life cycle, and that is again something that you can do. And aside from seeing this high-level overview, you can also drill down into projects simply by clicking on the project name. So I've clicked onto the general ledger project, and one of the first views I actually see is this workflow status. So if you are using workflows, which are optional by the way, as part of your enterprise project type, you see straight away that there's a workflow graphic at the top that shows the end user exactly which stage of that project it currently is. So this particular project had a create phase, a select phase, a plan phase, and right now we're in the manage phase. And we can see that when we get to the end of manage, there's a point where I will have to submit my project for review and approval before I can move on to the next phase. But workflows, again, are pretty flexible. And purely because of the time constraints today, I can't really go into that much detail, but there is a lot more to it. What's great here as well is that it actually shows me what sections I need to complete for that particular stage. So normally what you would see against the items you have to complete is a small asterisk indicating these are the areas that you need to tick off. And talking of ticking off, here we've got at the bottom a list of all the stages within the phases, and we're seeing here which ones have been ticked off and where we currently sit. So we're currently in the execution phase. Aside from that view, you've also got your schedule that becomes visible here in the browser. So this is not within Project Pro for Office 365, this is again within the browser. And if we're talking about different types of views, that again is possible here, similar to what we had in the Project Center. And you can see there that when I click on the view drop-down, there are a number of drop-downs, a number of views available out of the box, but you can again create your own views as well. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do shortly is go through the project selection process. But just before I do that, I just want to show you the level of detail that you would normally need to put into a project, which includes this. So this is the Project Strategic Impact page. So this is where you would do strategic alignment. So we're making here very visual to the end user what drivers there are within the organization, and we want those individuals to indicate how this project, if it was to go ahead, how it would help the organization meet those particular objectives. So we've got some drivers here like expanding into new marketing segments. Does this project not link to that particular driver, or does it to a very low extent or to an extreme level? As well as doing this, you would also populate your schedule. So you would put in a high level of information around your tasks and resource information as well. Now, once all of this information is in place, we're then ready to go into project selection. And what's great about the project selection part is that it makes the process for selection a very consistent process. It's not really a case of whoever shouts the loudest gets the project approved, and a lot of the time, you know, project approval can be quite subjective. So through portfolio analysis, it becomes a very scientific process, and we are skipping many of the steps, but if I go into portfolio analysis very quickly, I am going to skip this particular page, which is where I've set some of the criteria around the projects. I'm going to click into review priorities, and the system presents me with a very objective view of the projects that have been proposed, and it's putting them into an order of priority. So this e-commerce portal development project, very high priority. If I scroll down, we've got projects that are then less important. And sticking to this consistent approval, we're going to move on to analyze costs. And I can see here that if we were to run all of these projects, it's going to cost us around £22 million, and it means that we will be able to do 31 projects. In line with project selection, we can go in and tailor these budgets. If I put in a smaller budget that we have available and hit recalculate, what you're going to see is the system objectively present back to us a prioritized list of projects. Now again, there are multiple options around this, but this is again a very consistent way in which to approve and determine which projects your organization is going to run. So once the projects are approved, we are then live with the projects, and individuals are assigned their tasks, which is what we're going to look at next. So just going back to the home page, you can see here on the main page, which is going to load up shortly, that I'm notified of a number of tasks that I've been assigned. And if I click into the task window, I will see a list of all the tasks that I've been assigned across all of the projects that are currently in the system. So this system is showing me that I'm assigned to this general ledger project. I'm also assigned against this router benchmark system upgrade as well. And against each one of these projects, I see a concise listing of the task that I've specifically been assigned. And here in this calendar view, I can see the number of planned hours in a given day for me. And if I'd report any actuals, I would also see the actuals being reported as well. So I'm increasing visibility of the work assigned to me through Project Online but I can also drill down into this detail to get visibility of what's going on, and I'll show you shortly how you can actually converse with the PMs as well. So I've drilled down into this task, and I can see here the start date, the finish date. I can see how much work is remaining. But in order to facilitate collaboration, I can, as a team member, go in and specify a different start date or propose a different end date. I could even tinker with how much work is actually remaining. I could recalculate that and send that off to the project manager for approval. So this is all happening through Project Online. If I scroll down, I would also see if there were any associated issues or risks with that particular task. Further down, I also get visibility of who's actually working on this task, who the project manager is, and who the approval manager is for that particular task. And I also get to see who makes up the wider project team. Further down, I also see things like related assignments. So what needs to finish before I can actually start my work? And also what is dependent upon me finishing my work on time. And down here at the bottom, we've also got a notes section. So I can very easily type notes in and associate them against the task. And the project manager, when the project manager views the task, either within Project Web App or within Project Pro for Office 365, they would see these notes associated to this. So I could simply type in, hey, to report that this is running late by, let's say, half a day. And I could then send that back to the PM. Of course, I'm not going to send it. I'm just going to cancel out. So this is how I get visibility of my tasks. Something that I've not shown you so far is the project site, and I'm keen to show you the project site. Still, to show you today, I want to also show you the resource center, and I do want to touch upon some of the reporting capabilities as well. Although we're not going to do a deep dive in those elements, I would like to give you a bit of a taster of what you can expect to see on June the 1st, but also seeing this functionality today will also show you how you can highlight some of the visibility. So moving on to the project site, I'm going to go to the project center first of all. Then I'm going to select one of these projects and open up the project site. So here we are on the project site, and one of the things you will see straight away along the top, we're getting a clear view of some of the project tasks as well as a timeline view. So I can see there a high-level summary task, the subtasks, and I can see some of the key milestones. It's also showing me very clearly that there's one upcoming task. There are 12 tasks that are running late, and it's telling me when the next task is also due. And if I was to click on these late tasks, I will see effectively a work breakdown structure showing me all of the tasks in order of when they're due to complete by. And I can also see very clearly who they've been assigned to. One of the things I'm going to show you a bit later is how you can also improve some of the collaboration aspects through Skype for Business integration, which I've not actually got set up in my live environment, but each of these blank squares you see at the moment would be populated with a person's presence information. If that doesn't make a lot of sense right now, it will do when you see it being demonstrated a bit later. But, aside from this view, you can also choose to view this on a Gantt chart if you're more comfortable with that particular view, just to demonstrate. So this again is all within Project Online, and we've not even touched Project Pro for Office 365. Going back to the main page, you also have other areas being displayed here. So there's an area that displays all of the associated documents, and in order to improve the consistency, as in which templates are being used, you can upload what we would call document content types. These are templates that are made available for your end users, making sure then that everyone is using the latest template rather than having somebody that's using a template that's maybe, I don't know, 2 years out of date compared to everybody else. You've also got the benefits here of having versioning control in place. So what you're actually seeing right now is a SharePoint site that's integrated with Project Online. So for those of you that are familiar with SharePoint, you'll know that document management is one of the strong points, and all of that functionality is available here within Project Online. We can also see here risks and issues being displayed. So at the moment we only have one issue being displayed and no risks, no issues at the moment. But if I drill down, you can see how that information has been populated. So let's click into Edit Item. And here we can see we've given this particular issue this risk a title. We've defined an owner. We've assigned it to somebody, given it a status. We've categorized it as well. And by the way, many of these elements are bespoke and they're configurable. So probability and impact. Some organizations prefer to use percentages. Others prefer to use a scale of 1 to 3 or 1 to 5. Either way, this can be tailored very, very easily. What this is really resulting in is a centralized risk log rather than having a variety of Excel workbooks that have been set up using different templates. So this is a consistent way in which to raise your risks and issues, but also to display them. In order to also improve collaboration, we've also got this Yammer feed which you can integrate into the system. So for those of you that are not familiar with Yammer, Yammer is a social tool available from Microsoft. And what I've done on Yammer is actually created a project-specific group for this particular project. Now, I could be engaging in the conversation from Yammer, or I could be inputting into the conversation from right here within the project site. The comments all appear. So that is the project site, and aside from the issues log and the risk logs that we have in there, we can also add in things like decision logs, change logs and action logs incredibly easily. But that's the project site. When we're talking about increasing project visibility generally, one of the areas that people want to increase visibility on is resource demand versus capacity. And although that's not part of today's presentation, again, I do want to give you a bit of a taster onto that. So what we have on the screen right now is a grouping of all the resources that we currently have available within the organization. So I've already taken the liberty of selecting some of these resources, and what I'm going to do is go into some of the visual views that show us very clearly what demand looks like versus capacity. In fact, what we're looking at right at the beginning is a simple view showing us remaining availability. So I noticed earlier that one of the biggest pains that you all tend to experience is resource management. So this kind of view is going to be quite, of a lot of use, I would say. So there on the right-hand side, you've got a key showing you all of your resources. And I've set various parameters at the top, but I won't go into detail on right now. But here, I'm going to zoom in just to make it a bit easier to see. You can see that we've got this pop-up that arises showing you what kind of availability somebody has, and most people here have got maximum availability, and you've got poor, I think it's Robert there, Robert Lyon, who's overutilized at the moment. That's not the only view. You do have other views available as well, such as resource utilization, showing you what overall capacity looks like. So combined as a collective, these individuals could do 88 hours of work in a given day. The only people doing any work on this particular day are Robert again and Robin Counts. Everyone else seems to have lots of availability. So that's one way in which you can increase project visibility. I'm also going to show you very quickly some of the reporting capabilities. So with Office 365, you have access to Power BI. And within Power BI, there is a out-of-the-box dashboard that looks at project visibility. So this dashboard shows you various aspects that you would want to typically look at to assess project health. This report here showing you planned baseline work, and actual remaining work. And here you get visibility of the overdue and upcoming milestones. And you also see, projects that have not been updated in the last month or so. And you also have views there showing you things like active risks and issues. The session that we're going to be having on June the 1st project will actually delve into a lot more detail, and I'll also show you how you would actually build up your own dashboards as well. Aside from that, you've also got access to this app which was launched very recently, showing you again an overview of the project portfolio. So project cost by EPT is an example, and you can also see various KPIs there along the bottom showing you how each project stacks up. So what you're getting through this is visibility, but also the information is being presented in a very consistent fashion. Because I have worked with organizations previously where one project manager has one template for a highlight report, another person presents the information in a completely different way using a completely different set of tolerances, which doesn't really help anybody. And typically, project managers like to state that the health of their project is green. A variety of shades of green, but typically green. So that really concludes the live demonstration for today. There were a couple of elements that I do want to show through my slide deck that I've not been able to cover live. And this really adds to the collaboration aspect of it, really. So some of you might be using Microsoft Lync or Microsoft Skype for Business, and this on the screen is showing you if you have got that set up, then it integrates out of the box with Project Online. So wherever you see a resource name displayed, against the resource name you will see very clearly the availability of that person. You know, is the status stating that you're available? Are you away from your desk? Is it do not disturb? But if you then hover over the individual's name, it will ask you if you want to do instant messaging or a video call, whatever it might be. And a feature that's forthcoming is the brand new discussions feature. So against each one of these tasks that you see in the system, you can see that you can have ongoing discussions, and you can see all of the history recorded in a centralized location. So it's increasing collaboration and also increasing the visibility of anything that needs to be looked at in greater detail. So moving on, if you would like to potentially trial Project Online, or if you're looking at implementing, what are the options? Well, we have a few. And as I mentioned right at the very beginning, today is really a very high-level overview of the solution. There is a lot more to Project Online, and it's very difficult to fit it into a half-an-hour presentation whereby I'm doing a live demo. So we do offer bespoke demonstrations, so if you've got a specific set of requirements or pains that you would like to see how Project Online can help you overcome them, then I would welcome the opportunity to spend a bit of time with you just to show you exactly how the solution could fit into your environment and help alleviate some of those pains. If you would like to do a bit more of a deep dive session and you would like to present the solution to a wider group of stakeholders, then we do also offer on-site discovery days, but that's really a day whereby we will look at your requirements in a to a greater degree. We'll go through your requirements in detail, we'll show you what other similar organizations are possibly doing with Project Online, and we will present back to you what a typical implementation roadmap would look like. If you would like to get hands-on and you would like to test drive Project Online, we offer 30-day 5-user trial environments. If you're looking to do more of a formalized POC or to run a pilot, we do also offer 90-day trial environments for up to 20 users. If you've decided that Project Online is a solution you would like to implement, then we as a partner offer a fixed price implementation package called Project Online Prime that we can talk about at a later date offline. But I am going to actually guide you to our website shortly, which will have details of all of these options on it. So that really concludes the major part of the presentation, and I think we're just about ready to go into the Q&A session. So at this point I am going to invite Andree to join this presentation, and Tim, I'll hand over to you as well to converse with us and hand over some of the questions that have been presented to you.
Brilliant, Baz. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, we've had a few questions through. The first one is, compared to Primavera 6, what advantages does Microsoft Project Online offer?
I guess there's a lot of similarities, and what we're not into doing is a feature-by-feature comparison. I think you've just got to look at the merits of Project Online in isolation. It's a very easy solution to adopt. The look and feel is going to be familiar to anyone that's using any other Microsoft application, in particular Microsoft Office or SharePoint. So we tend to find that the learning curve is actually quite short. It's a very intuitive solution. There's quite an extensive roadmap in place as well to bring about many enhancements. But I think, again, you've got to have a look at each solution and its merits in isolation. Andree, I don't know if you want to add anything to that particular response.
Hello everyone, thank you Baz, excellent presentation. Yes, my answer would be very much in line with yours. I think that with any other type of technology solution as well, I don't think it's that much about a features discussion these days. I think in this particular case it's about the integration with the broader Microsoft ecosystem. So Baz showed us a number of interesting integrations with Skype or Lync, with Yammer, with SharePoint all across this, with OneDrive, with the whole stack of Office, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So once you have this solution, you can then be directly integrated with all of this. So that naturally brings you a lot of added value in terms of efficiency and productivity.
Right, next question is, can the resource utilization be used for additional external resource? So you're talking about associates, contractors or suppliers, or is it only available for users within the Microsoft 360 system?
No, absolutely. So you can use it for external resources as well. It's just a case of defining your enterprise resource pool, which can consist of actual users on Office 365, but it can also include resources that are available for you to assign against your projects, but they're not necessarily users. So the answer to that is yes.
Okay.
And in fact, I will cover that in greater detail on the follow-on presentation that we're going to do on June the 1st.
Okay, good stuff. And for Project View, which views are out of the box and which are bespoke?
So the views that I showed you today, a lot of those are out of the box. You do get quite a few, so it's very difficult for me to go through a comprehensive list just like this. But what I would say is that a lot of the time we do spend a bit of time just creating bespoke views per client requests, and to build up your own views is actually quite straightforward.
Okay, brilliant. Another question here we have got, for tracking budgets, have you ever supported integration of financial data coming from Aggresso?
We've had similar conversations with clients of ours previously, and you can either look at doing what we would call a hard integration, so that there's communication between the two applications directly. What most organizations tend to do is more of a soft integration, whereby they might take a output from Aggresso or a output from Project Online and push it or export it and import it into the other application. So it's feasible, but again, we would have to scope out the level of integration you're looking to achieve and really what your end goal is so that we can determine the best approach.
Okay, brilliant. We have a question here. Someone wants to know the difference between SharePoint Prime and Project Online.
Okay, so we as a partner, we do offer a package called SharePoint Prime, and that's really something that's geared towards organizations with a low level of project management maturity, I would say. So organizations that aren't really too concerned with resource management or with task management. So what Project Online provides is really robust functionality and capability around resource management, so helping you alleviate all the pains that you would normally experience in terms of managing resources, but it also allows individuals to interact with the system and provide updates on tasks directly back to the PMs. So SharePoint is really an offering for organizations that are just getting into this and maybe they're not ready to take the plunge and go into Project Online, but most organizations tend to see the value that Project Online provides, because even though Project Online provides all the additional capability, as I mentioned right at the beginning, you don't have to switch all of it on straight away. It's normally a case of phasing that functionality in when you're ready to use it. I hope that answers your question, but I'm happy to discuss that one offline in greater detail.
Okay, brilliant. Next question is, how can this be used, or how has it been used, to manage environments that include both waterfall and agile projects?
That's very good. Okay, so traditionally Project Online has been very much geared towards waterfall methodologies, primarily I would say. In recent years it's been possible to integrate Project Server with Team Foundation Server, which provides a number of agile templates out of the box. And I've actually got a video on our YouTube channel, and I can share the address of our YouTube channel at the end as well, that demonstrates how you can manage agile projects using a combination of Project Server and Team Foundation Server or Visual Studio Online. However, on the Microsoft roadmap for Project Online, there are a range of enhancements that are coming about that focus on agile methodologies. So Microsoft have recognized that there has been a huge increase in the number of organizations running agile projects, and there is now a real drive to enable people to manage agile projects using Project Online. There's actually a brand new roadmap, I believe, coming out in about 1.5 to 2 weeks. Andree, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah, we are launching a series of functionalities around Agile. So at the moment, the only way was, as Baz said, through the integration. But we are going to launch specific functionality for Agile. We have a roadmap that we have announced earlier this year in October, or earlier last year in October actually. and we will be releasing an update in the next coming weeks. So hopefully in the next webinar we'll be able to provide a comprehensive update on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the next webinar, actually, we might include a section on the future roadmap.
And also, may I just add something back to the second question you were asked that had to do with Office 365. I want just to make it clear for all the people in this presentation that as a user, you do not have to have Office 365 to have Project Online. So let's assume that in your organization, you don't have Office 365 at all. So you can start from Project Online, create a tenant, set up the solution, and decide just to add Office 365 at a later stage in time or not to add it at all. So that is not a mandatory requirement.
Excellent. Thank you, Andree.
Brilliant. Next question is, do you offer consultancy on the back-end infrastructure setup to underpin a Project Online implementation?
Yes, absolutely we do. When we talk about setting a project online, a lot of it is self-contained in the cloud, so to speak, but we can certainly provide a lot of guidance around software and hardware requirements on the client side.
Okay, brilliant. Now, for project management consultancies, is it possible to use Project Online to manage a project and report about its health to both the end client and the consultancy's senior management team?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the strong points for Project Online offers, well, I guess it's through some of the supporting technology like Power BI and SQL Server reporting services as well, but you can create audience-specific reports and dashboards. So if you want a particular template for senior stakeholders internally, not a problem, and we can also have a separate template for clients, but both reports would consume data from the same data source. So it's not a case of having to duplicate the content, it's all from a single source.
Okay, brilliant. Now, is it possible to configure Project Online to use Prince2 methodology?
Yes, it is, and we do have a number of clients actually that have methodologies that are primarily based on Prince2. So they have initiation, startup, and all the other phases and stages you would expect within a Prince2 environment. And we can configure that within Project Online using the enterprise project types. Absolutely. And in fact, it doesn't even have to be Prince2. It could be any lifecycle, any methodology that you've adopted. It could even be something completely bespoke.
Okay, fantastic. We've got one more question here. It's, would we require your services for all template and other bespoke element creation, or are some aspects of this work relatively easy for users to create themselves? If users could create them themselves, what skills are required?
Okay, so that's a very good question actually, and the way that we typically engage is by running requirements workshops to understand what it is you're trying to achieve. And based upon that, we would initially configure the environment for you. But what we would do once the environment is configured, we would then deliver to you administrator training. And the administrator training would really focus on the elements that we've configured for your environment and also take into account the changes that you're maybe considering making over the next 3 to 6 months. And we would actually give you the skill set you need to make those changes and to complete further configuration as required. And being a Microsoft solution, it's incredibly well documented.
Okay, great. One more question has just come in, so if we've got time, we'll answer that. Is it possible to provide different branding based on business areas while having the same underpinning templates and workflows, etc.?
At a high level, I would say yes, but it would need further discussion and scoping.
Okay, brilliant. And seeing as we do have a couple more minutes left, we are still getting some questions through here, so we should have time to answer them. Can the portfolio prioritization be configured to match projects to the strategic objectives they fulfill and highlight which are over and under fulfilled?
Yes, so one of the things that I didn't show you during the demonstration was the strategic alignment report. So that report basically shows you how important certain drivers are to your organization, and it shows you the pool of projects that you've brought into that analysis and how you're either overachieving or underachieving against those drivers. So the answer to that is yes. And the other thing that I'll add in is that the drivers are completely bespoke, so whatever organizational drivers you have, we can put into the system.
Okay, great. And I'm pretty sure this will be the very last question. It seems like a quick and easy one. Can changing of WBS elements of a plan be restricted to certain teams?
Absolutely. So one of the other things that Project Online offers is a incredibly robust security model. So it gets incredibly granular if you wanted to, and you can control who can do what. So controlling read and write access is not a problem. And you can set that either at the global level, or in certain cases you could even set that at the project level as well.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Baz. That concludes our presentation. As Baz mentioned, this is part one of two-part webinar. So do check on our website and sign up to part two. Thank you very much for everyone attending. And like I said before, this webinar will be available to view on our YouTube channel shortly. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you very much.